Okay, there are still some people joining up, though the rate at which people are joining is slowing down just a little bit, but it is a couple minutes after the hour. We do like to get started on time. We have quite a bit to cover today, and want to welcome all of you for joining us. My name is Mark. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for VisualSP, and we're excited to be launching our newest product, the latest addition to our product family. By the way, I made this slide yesterday. I realize it's the 24th, not the 23rd, so if you're paying really close attention, I did spot that. But we've got a very brief agenda for you today. First, we'll give you a little bit of a background on our company, including some of the key individuals, including myself, and then a brief history of our just-in-time learning product history. So for those of you that are familiar with us, we've been at this for a little while, so we're going to talk just a little bit about that briefly. And we're going to be spending most of the time today, however, in the demonstration. It's really critical for us to be able to show you what it is that we've built. We're really proud of the work that we've done on this new product for Office 365. So we're excited to show it to you. So we're going to be spending most of our time today in the demonstration. And then at the end of our session, we'll have a Q&A. So for those of you that may not have been familiar with GoToWebinar, which is the platform we're using for the webinar today, there is a Q&A section in the console. So when we get to the Q&A section, you can enter your questions there too. We will have a couple polls and things like that throughout the webinar. Those will be mostly pop-ups, so you'll be able to use them fairly easily and probably without a lot of instruction. And then if you have questions along the way, please feel free to insert that into the GoToWebinar console as well. We'll do our best. We've got a few of us that are hosting today, so we'll do our best to get to the questions as we can throughout the webinar. At the very least, we'll try to get to them at the end. If there's any that are left over at the end, we will be able to get back to you on your questions by sending you a direct email. So just a couple of housekeeping items. Other than that, this is being recorded. We will be sending a recording of this out in about a business day or so after the webinar has concluded. If there's issues or whatever, please do enter those into the console as well. And you can also, there's a functionality to be able to raise hands and things like that as well. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So why are you guys here? Thought it would be kind of fun to put what's in it for you. And when we think about our new product, we think about it from a couple of different audience types. And one is the actual end users, so people that are going to be using the product. And we suspect that there's more than a few of you on the call today. And managers. So for the users, what's in it for you is that we've created a platform to deliver in-context help. In other words, help when you need it, where you need it. So in the demonstration today, you're going to be able to see actual help content surfaced in an Office 365 workspace. And you'll be able to get to that content without a lot of hunting around. So it'll save you a lot of time and hopefully a lot of frustration. And also, we will provide that help in your learning style. We're going to have a brief discussion kind of along the way as we go through the demo on different learning styles. We all are unique individuals and learn in our own unique ways, and so we've curated a lot of content that attracts different learning styles and speaks to different learning styles. And for managers, we're going to help your users get work done faster because we're providing our content in the user experience or in the workspace without a lot of searching. So it's context sensitive. Your users will be able to get through the work that they need to do to perform their jobs quicker. And the other thing, the other key thing that's in it for managers is that when you have new users or when you roll out new applications in Office 365, that training is available readily in context, so right inside the user experience. So the user never has to leave their workspace in order to get the information they need to get their work done. So a little bit about us. We were founded by Asif Rahmani, who's been a trainer in SharePoint since 2002, and recently with the advent of Office 365 has been a trainer there as well. He's additionally a Microsoft MVP. And then I am Mark McDermott. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer, and I've been involved in SharePoint pretty much as long as Asif has, back in the Tahoe days. For those of you that have been around SharePoint for a long time, that was the code name of the first version of it. And I've also, in addition, been a professional sales and management trainer since 2003. So it was interesting that when Asif and I came together, that we were both educators to a certain degree, and we were very passionate about education and how people learn. And when you put that into the context of our product history, Asif had started out as a trainer and realized that the training was not always highly effective. It's not to say that Asif was an ineffective trainer, but the challenge is once people leave the classroom setting, whether the classroom is virtual or online, a lot of that information is forgotten. And so Asif, being the clever man that he is, said there's got to be a better way. And so he founded VisualSP in 2005. And as you can see on the right half of your screen, we've been supporting various versions of SharePoint since 2010, and including last quarter of last year, we released our VisualSP for SharePoint 2016. So we support basically all versions of SharePoint at this point, starting with 2010 up through present day. And because of our success with these products and people needing to learn SharePoint, which is a huge product, in context, we've had a lot of success. So we have edging closer to 2 million users these days and over 200 enterprise class customers. And we do have customers of all different sizes, so this is not necessarily something that's just an enterprise solution. This could be for nearly anyone. Another way of looking at that is we've been at this for a while, but today we want to talk to you about VisualSP for Office 365. With Office 365 comes a much broader environment of solutions, whether you're talking about SharePoint itself or Planner or the Office suite or whatever. A lot of companies are looking at rolling this out or in the process of rolling it out and adding new features and new functionalities to their Office 365 environments. And so for us, that meant an opportunity to help these companies with adoption of these new platform specific features that Microsoft is offering. And so what we wanted to do was be able to do that in the way that we always have, which is in context or just-in-time learning right inside the Office 365 environment. So that's what we're going to be showing you today. But before we get into the demonstration, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we do what we do. I teased about this just a second ago when I mentioned that Asif wanted a better way to get people to learn products, and he realized that classroom training falls a little bit short. Well, in fact, we found some data from the AIM group that's supported what we thought was going on. So this might be a new term for a lot of you, but we call this performance support. And performance support is not necessarily something that's just technology related, but anytime you're talking about training people on the job or in context, another more common term for that broadly is performance support. And so we knew we needed to use technology to augment what was being taught in the classroom, whether the classroom was online or in person, and we needed to do it in context. So I mentioned providing this information inside the work experience. And so that's exactly what we do, and that's what you'll see in the demonstration today. So a couple of the challenges that we were trying to solve for at a very high level is that in classroom-based training, 70% of knowledge is lost within a few days of the actual training session. In addition to that is that for those of you that have been through some sort of technology training, have you ever been trained on something that didn't matter to you or wasn't relevant to you or didn't apply to your company? So a lot of what's being taught is irrelevant. And so we were all about providing relevant content in context. And so there's a couple of other pieces of data is that there's the stat from AIM is that there's between $1,000 and $2,000 per person wasted on training each year, and I should have put quotes around wasted. That's kind of a loose term, but classroom-based training, again, whether it's online or in person, is very expensive. And so if you're students, or if you're a student and you're losing 70% of that knowledge, then a lot of money is being spent for probably not the most efficient way to communicate training. And then the big thing is that once you train someone and they go back to their work experience, they're going to have what we call a moment of need. So they may not remember exactly what it was that they were supposed to be doing. And every company has, different ways that they set up Office 365 and different solutions that are deployed. And so what our goal was to solve that problem, to provide the training right at the moment of need. So where you need it, when you need it. So before we get going with the demonstration, let's start with a poll. And Asif, if I can have you help me out here a little bit. You should get a pop-up here in just a second, but what we want to do is ask you, how do you or your users currently find help on Office 365? And so your answers are Google, Bing, YouTube, or similar, your peer or a manager, the IT help desk, Microsoft help websites, or other. And if you do have other, if you could do me a favor and enter that into the Q&A. And I can see the answers tabulating. We'll leave the poll open for just a couple more minutes. We've got about 60% of you that have responded at this point. Not terribly surprising to me on the answers. Right now we're sitting at about 63% for Google, Bing, YouTube, or similar. Surprising with this group, it's a little bit lower on the IT help desk than I've seen in the past. 20% on Microsoft help websites. Asif, if you're monitoring the other, if there are any interesting answers in there, I'd love to hear them.
Joe is mentioning that we have our own training department. That's one answer right there for the other.
Okay.
Also, one other answer. Nice one, Robert. Thank you for that. Help page created as a SharePoint page. I've seen that a lot in organizations.
Yeah. Using the tool for what it's for. That's great. Why don't we go ahead and close the poll? And here are the results. So 62% of you said Google, Bing, YouTube, or similar. The two answers that surprised me here the most are the peer manager one. Typically we see that one a little bit higher. So it's a little bit surprising that it's as low as it is. The IT help desk, that's also a little bit lower than I would have expected based on how many times we've run this poll in the past. 21% Microsoft websites and about 5% other. Also, were there any other interesting answers? I think the two examples you gave are interesting ones. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah. One other person, Andrea, thank you very much for your response to Andrea, mentioned that, yes, we have a help training site in SharePoint also. So a whole site, not just a page in their case.
Okay. Great. All right. Let's move along to the demonstration. Asif, if you want to take the screen.
Absolutely. There it is. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now. Thank you very much for that explanation, Mark. I completely wholeheartedly agree with what Mark mentioned. I've met many of you. I've seen the names over here in the attendees list. So when I say what I'm about to say right now, it doesn't come as a surprise to you, I'm sure, that I've been seeing this frustration in the user community since I started consulting and teaching and writing about SharePoint, since the beginning, since 2002. And you've heard me talk about this through my blogs, videos, and other places or at conferences. And that frustration is still not gone, unfortunately. I see that frustration mainly from end users, but also from power users who are used to a tool and then the tool changes or disappears, like, hey, what just happened? Who moved my cheese, basically? But then also administrators as well, changing things around. Before it was only SharePoint, and now it's SharePoint plus 1,000 other applications that we have in Office 365, which keep on changing all the time. Don't get me wrong, it's great, great stuff. The content, the functionality that's coming out from Microsoft, I'm extremely excited about it. The problem has been the user adoption. I personally, as a trainer, as an evangelist for SharePoint and now Office 365, really would love to see that adoption, and that's what we've been struggling with right now. Let me give you an example here. Many of you mentioned right? Many of you mentioned, not my words, your words, that we look, or our users look, for information on Google, Bing, YouTube, something similar. And I completely agree. That happens a lot. And that's one of the reasons I already had YouTube open. So let's take an example, right? Let's say that maybe you're on your SharePoint site. I'm showing the operations site right now. And people, they have a question about, well, I have, you know, my documents here and slides and all that stuff, and I'm just coming to the site right now. How should I proceed? First of all, should I use folders? One of the main things, conundrum, and everywhere is, should I use folders first of all? And if I use folders, what's the best way to use folders? So what if they just did a search out there? Let me do a search. I'll use Bing. You can use Bing or Google. Folders in SharePoint. The responses, and some of them actually are, for me, also another page of what you should do. They are very subjective in nature, right? Like this person is talking about 10 reasons to avoid folders altogether. Or people talking about 12 reasons folders in SharePoint is a bad idea. Okay. Well, another one here saying create a folder in SharePoint document library. So, all right. Great. This is telling me from Microsoft that this is how you do it. And this person is telling me it's not a good idea to do it. All right. Then maybe I go to YouTube because I like, visuals, and I already have this in here, folders in SharePoint. Let me do a search for that. The first video, this is really surprising to me. The first video that came up is a video from 6 years ago. This, I'm pretty sure, is Windows XP, the way it looks over here. I've not clicked on it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty old. I'm not saying it's a bad video, it's just old video. Then is a friend of mine, Jasper, from Netherlands, actually. He made a video here about a guideline to structure your documents in SharePoint. Makes you feel that maybe it's a good idea. Jasper, like me, also is an MVP. People tend to listen to some of us MVPs at time to time. So I'm not saying folders is a good idea or a bad idea. Honestly, in your organization, what you are trying to achieve, that is the right idea. That's the way to do it. So you want to convey what's right for your organization, not what people find on the internet, right? So this is just an example of when people start looking for things, they'll find all kinds of answers. Good, bad, good practices, bad practices, and it's very difficult to figure out which one is which. That's what I've seen, at least. Now, another thing, okay, so I'm looking at my page here. Let's say the folders thing, I'm over that. Now I'm looking to do something very simple. I need to add a link on this page, right? This is a regular SharePoint page or whatever that my company has given me. I just want to add a link here or here. How do I do that? I'm sure some of you are laughing right now, like, yeah, I've had that issue come up before many times for myself or my users. So let's see. I'm gonna click on this question mark here and say, let's find some help. So first of all, you need to know what you need to know, right? Tell me what you want to do as the question here. You need to tell me what you need to do. Is what this help is saying. So I'm going to say, all right, adding links. How do I do that? Takes a while, spins. Hopefully it'll return something. Maybe, maybe not. I've seen that to be, oh, here we go. So finally got some, oh wow, not some, I got lots of stuff back. I've seen where users get stuck at this point many times. Okay, well, there's just too much content. Maybe something simple as add links. So there's one action, okay, and then there's lots of different help items, okay. Now there's a good one, don't get me wrong here, that I found, for example, this video, add a link to a page. This describes exactly what the user is intending to do, right? If I do click on this, a new window opens up, first of all. So it's a new tab, in this case, not a new window, new tab opens up. It's got this video, and I can click on it and see, all right, adding links to a page. Here it is. Great. There's more content, but I need to get to this page. I need to find this video to be able to take advantage of it. And that's where I see people struggle. How do I get to this content easily? How do I know which content to get to and all? So having said that, let me go back here and show you a better way to get to content. Content that's maybe custom, maybe from a authority like Microsoft, which of course is a great authority, or maybe a third party, maybe us, VisualSP, who have been experts in SharePoint and Office 365 for a long time. How do you get to that content? And as Mark was mentioning, the VisualSP training for Office 365 is a product that we released recently, and that's what this intends to provide. It provides the users the help they need when and where they need it. It's done pretty simply by this help button that's hanging on the side right here. So I click on this help button, right? How did I get to this? First of all, let me talk about that first. So all I had to do was a quick, simple install, and I've not registered, I've not done anything. It is just like this after the install, and honestly, install takes no more than 10 seconds. Not kidding, 10 seconds. So I've done it. All right, great. It's telling me about getting around SharePoint, editing pages. There we go. Add links to a page. That's pretty cool right there. You can't hear it, but there's audio here that's streaming through, and I can make that full screen if I wanted to. All the good stuff. It's the same video in this case, right, from Microsoft. It's really good content. It's just much more easily discoverable by the user. That's the main intention here. And they can also put it on a separate screen if they wanted to, making like that, and then watch it side by side while they do their work. So the scenarios that we have seen users, this is one of the scenarios where they just want to be able to do things while looking at stuff, or maybe having them walk through different operations or things like that. And that's how this accomplishes this thing, right? So this happens to be a video that does that. Okay, great. As I mentioned, this person, Adele Vance in this case, has not registered this application or anything, just installed it, took 10 seconds, done. This here says that, listen, if you do register, if you provide us the first name, last name, email address, then you can get a lot more content. So let's do that and see what happens. So you can see the registration process. Very simple. By the way, it pulled in the person's information also very quickly, automatically, because we know who this person is, right, at Office 365. So I say, yeah, let me go ahead and register, see what happens. Register. We want to, of course, verify you are who you say you are. So there's an email verification process right here. I have Adele's email open right here. So let me see. Here we go. Came in pretty quickly. VisualSP user registration confirmation. And for this one, we have to just take this thing, copy it. So there's this key that you have to copy, just one small thing. Once you come back and you put this here and submit, it says you're ready to go. Let's do this. As you can see, there's a lot more content that just became available just because I went ahead and registered. So they don't have to, but if they do register, then there's a lot more content. And they meaning you, anybody who wants it. This is all I'm showing so far is this all free. There is no charge for it. Okay, so you can go out, grab it. I'll show you later also where you can grab it, but if you just want to know right now, it's visualsp.com. So go to our company website, and you'll see the VisualSP training for Office 365. You can download it from there right away. One more thing over here, though, and then I'm going to turn it back to Mark, and I'll come back and show you more things. But SharePoint is great, and there's a lot of stuff you can do within SharePoint. And of course, SharePoint was my life for a very long time, talking about it in conferences, conference presentations, and stuff like that. But the reality right now is there's a lot more than just SharePoint now, right? And it seems to just be growing every month, the way I look at it. For example, Flow, Power Apps, all that stuff got recently introduced. You got OneDrive, you got Calendar, you got Mail. And I was in Mail before, for example, right? In Mail here. So just like, and actually let me come back to it because now it's not going to show me that's registered. So let me click on this, open up a new window for Mail. But what I wanted to show here when I come here is that tab that you just saw, it's not just available for SharePoint. It's available for all of Office 365, okay? Everything. So here it's showing me information about Outlook and about groups and about email management. If I go to a different place, for example, this is the home page, right, where you start from, where users start from. I would need to refresh this page so I can see more content because it's probably going to show that I'm not registered here. But when I refresh this page, let's see how much more content I got here. Probably not that much more here, so yeah, a couple more in this particular case. But here we go. Content that's specific to this page, to this context. I don't want, as a user, to know everything. I just need to know what I need to know, where I need to know it. Okay? And that's all. That's what I've seen again and again. People getting too much information, they get confused. It's easy to understand. All this content is coming from experts, not just regular people. These are people who have spent a lot of time within SharePoint and Office 365, and they're the ones producing this content. And I'll show you more of this stuff soon, but let me click on one more thing. So change your password. Something you'll want to do, right? Here we go. Here, in this case, is going to be a quick video of how to change your password, adjust privacy settings, and understand app permissions. So things that you would want to do and quickly be able to do it. All right, I have a lot more to show, but I want to pass it over back to Mark if you're ready, and then I'll come back and show a lot more. Mark?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, let me take that back. Okay. So one of the things that I mentioned at the top of the presentation that was important to us is making sure that we were speaking to people in their learning style. So we've got another poll for you. So if you could participate, we'd certainly appreciate it. It helps us understand more about our audience and speak to our audience a little bit better. So the second poll today is, what is your learning style? So we've outlined most of the major learning styles that have been identified by a number of different sources. First one is visual, so you're a visual learner, so pictures, images, spatial understanding. Second is auditory verbal, so you prefer kind of classic Socratic method, so words both spoken or written. Kinesthetic, or what Asif and I like to refer to as doing, so actually walking through your work, so you prefer to use your sense of touch. Next is logical, so you're using logic, reasoning, or systems, so kind of deductive reasoning there, and or systems. And then other, if you could enter other into the Q&A console, and Asif, if you can go ahead and launch this poll. You guys can participate, and the answers are starting to come in. Got about 40% of you that have voted at this point, so we'll leave this open. That's an interesting crowd with the answers. Surprisingly low number of auditory learners. It's usually a little bit higher than that. As soon as we get to about 80% voted, we're almost there. It's just a few more seconds. All right. We go ahead and close the poll. So here's the answers for our group here today. Again, a little bit surprised that the auditory/verbal is as low as it is. Might just be representative for the type of folks that are participating today. But 47% visual, 7% auditory, 41% kinesthetic, or actually doing it, 3% logical, 2% other. Let me click over to I just be curious. Okay, yeah, it looks like the answers in the other category were pretty much what I expected, which is a mix, which is actually a fair percentage of the population that have a mix of learning styles. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift back over to the demonstration, and what Asif is going to walk you through is how we speak speak, I'm using air quotes that you can't see, to some of the different learning styles that are participating today. And this is going to be very relevant to you as you think about the different types of users that you have in your companies that are using Office 365. So Asif, if you want to take the screen back.
You got it. All right, so quickly here, I showed you a video, right, that came up pretty easily, but there's more. Video is not the only kind of content that people appreciate that people can learn from. There's other type of content. So let's look at some other stuff. As I mentioned, there's a lot of content that gets available to you if you register. So within quick reference, for example, publishing page quick reference. I see many times I go to places and people have stuff just printed on their desk. So something like this could be helpful as to understanding the different pieces of SharePoint. It's just a screenshot, annotated screenshot in this case. You have, of course, I showed you the videos before. Then also, if you want to link to an article that's or a web page that's available directly on your intranet or outside, this is one of those. Add video or audio to a page. So let me show you this. What you're seeing, by the way, is a mixture of some Microsoft content and a lot of our content as well. So a lot of these things, let me click on something that's our content here. Change the layout of, actually this one, work with images on a page. Something everybody wants to know is how do I work with images, on a SharePoint page. So here we go, with the transcript and all, showing people within 2 minutes or less exactly how to add a picture on a page. Fully narrated. Yeah, so you got videos, you got tip sheets, you got screenshots, all kinds of different things, and many, many, many of it. Let me show you one more. I believe that's on a different page. So if I go into this documents, let's go here. So it's a document library, modern document library, which is definitely supported by us as well. In quick reference, there we go. There's some other types of information here. Create a new document step by step. Something that people need to know, right? So when I click on this, what's going to appear, here we go. This is actually a PDF document that came up, and they can print this as well. All included, all for free. It's all there when you register. You can print it out, or you can have it side by side, depending on your preference. And this shows you how to create new documents in SharePoint Online. So yeah, many different ways of doing these things. And there's something else also, but we're going to wait a little bit. I'm going to pass this back to Mark so he can talk about it, and then I'll show you one more thing, which I think you're really going to like. So Mark, do you want to talk about it before I show it?
Yeah. Grab the screen back for you. Give me 1 second. Yeah. All right. So one of the things that we saw in the last poll was that there was nearly half of this group that are kinesthetic learners. This is a really important learning style, regardless of your end users or your personal learning style, when it comes to learning new technologies. And the reason for that is what this quote that I love underscores, and that is repetition is the mother of skill. So for those of you that are Tony Robbins fans, by the way, that is the author of that particular quote. But the key takeaway here is that in order for your users to master their tasks, getting them to do it more than once is the fastest way to get them to learn that. And so that can be a challenge for a lot of organizations if they're looking at an online type training, whether they're going to a SharePoint site or something like that, or a help site, to get that, because it's not in context and it's not actually walking them through the individual steps. Many of you have probably loaded applications or maybe even visited a website where they'll have it kind of prompts for what it is that you should do first and then second, because they know that user adoption is critical. And so that was something that was really important for us as we were building out our newest product, VisualSP for Office 365. And we thought about this kind of in 4 main categories. One is that when you have new employees, I mentioned earlier that most companies have some sort of customization in their Office 365 environment. So meaning even if they have experience in it in one company, it might look completely different, or their work stream or their workflow might be completely different in a new company. So anytime there's a new employee, there's that opportunity for them to have to learn new ways of doing things, even in the context of Office 365. And as I mentioned, that most companies have some sort of customizations, and these applications and solutions in Office 365 change all the time. There's some statistics that I've read that solutions change in some companies up to as often as once every 6 weeks. So that would mean that potentially every 6 weeks, your users would have a new way that they would have to go about doing their work, which ties into the concept of governance. So how do you get them to do their work and do their work properly? And are they doing it by company standards or even federally regulated standards, depending on what industry you're in? And then finally, as I mentioned, the change management. So as these new solutions are being rolled out, how are you communicating that in a proactive way to your users? And sometimes, just to add, pardon me, help is not enough. And so it's getting your users to actually walk through their work stream and giving them cues on what it is that they need to do. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to you, Asif, if you want to grab the screen, and you can show how VisualSP for Office 365 can actually walk your users through their work.
You got it. All right. Before I begin, keep in mind, I know this question comes up quite a bit as to is there any configuration and all to get this all what I'm seeing? There's nothing. It's just a completely turnkey solution. You install it, and if you would like, register it, and then everything is just there. Nothing else. Okay. As far as the walking you through a functionality or walking you through an interface like this one, mail is, of course, one of the simplest, and it's well known by everybody. So I thought I would start here and show everybody how this looks. Let's imagine that people don't know exactly what the different parts of this application is. In this case, it's not an application, it's a mail, right? But okay, so you search mail here, and you got folders here, and you can make new email. Walk me through this thing. Sure. If I had come here for the first time, my walkthrough would have started automatically, or like I like to say, automagically. However, I've already been here before, so it didn't start automatically this time around. So I'm going to have to show you manually. I'll click on the mail walkthrough. Here it is. It's saying this is the list of your mail. Select one of your emails now to get started. All right. Okay, so I clicked on that. Now it's telling me that this thing that's highlighted, that's the reading pane. Yep, makes sense. Now it's actually highlighting a small portion of the screen. If you can see here, it's yellow. It's telling me that there's more actions or mail actions available there. Feel free to check it out. So I'll check it out. Okay, I can delete, unsubscribe. I can do all that good stuff here. Great. Click on next. Mail folders are right there. Only have one right now. Great. Searching capability. Wonderful. I can search for mail. Okay, so now I've actually clicked around in the interface, right? Which is extremely helpful for people. Being able to interact with your environment and not just watch a video. Not saying that videos are bad or other stuff. Of course, those things really, really appeal to many people. Appeals to me quite a bit to be able to watch it and then do it. But then this takes it even a step further. Be able to click in the environment and almost forcing you, or maybe I should say motivating you, to click on certain things to get used to it. Makes a lot of sense, I think. Let me take you another place. So yeah, I believe Word. So this one started automatically in Word. As I mentioned, every application in Office 365 we have content for, and we're developing new content all the time because, of course, Microsoft is keeping up with the pace or way beyond sometimes. So in this case, I'll click on Next. Recent documents show up here. That's also highlighted. Next. Open from another location. Many people that I talk to, I'm not sure about you guys, but might not know also that you can open from OneDrive for Business. So it points that out. Good to know. And new document templates. Wonderful. So good things, I think, to be able to have all this information to you. At this point in time, the question might come to your mind that this is all great. I can get all these walkthroughs and have all the stuff that you guys created at VisualSP, but what about if I have a specific scenario? If I have something that I want to convey to my users, how do I do that? How do I help them walk through some functionality that I want them to see? For that, what I'm going to do is take you to a different place. It's going to be a simpler walkthrough, but I'm going to do something with that and show you how that is. So I'll take you to an application called Planner. This is one of those applications. We use this quite a bit in our own organization. by the way, come on. This kind of bugs me. See, this is also, I'm also a user. So I have this separate window where I actually put some of that information because I knew something like that's going to happen. It's going to ask me to log in. I won't have the user ID. So here it is. Okay. See, I was already in it. Why do you have to ask me again? Come on. Anyway. Okay, so I'm in Planner, which is a great task management tool for teams, for groups, etc., right? And I got my help items here as well. Wonderful. There's a Planner walkthrough. If I click on this, which it is configured to come up automatically, but once again, I've been here before. But I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. View all your plans. Okay, that's where my Planner hub is. And then view all your tasks. I can bet you that if I asked at this point, which I'm not going to go ask because I don't want to slow things down, but if I did ask that how many of you have used Planner, I'm not going to get that many people with their raised hands. I mean, I talk to people all over the world for many, many different Office 365 kind of deployments, and this application, while it's great, is just not as heavily used just yet. So we started in our own organization, started using it, right? And people in our organization were also kind of confused as to how do I do this thing? What do I do? One of the questions that definitely comes up at this point is, you know, this is good. It's showing me my plans. It's showing me a view of my tasks. But what is Planner? Could you please answer that question as to what is Planner? So I had an idea here. You know, why not put a button or something here which says that, hey, do you know what Planner is? And if they say, no, I don't know, they click on this button and some other material appears, right? So for that to happen, I need to be able to edit this walkthrough. I am a Dell right now, which I don't have any editing capabilities because I'm the user, I'm the viewer. However, I do have another user in a different window altogether. This gentleman is named Nestor, and Nestor does have the capability to edit, right? So I'm going to go into the hub. This is all, of course, just sample data. This is not our data. But within here, when Nestor comes here, he has a capability right here. This is the hamburger icon or the 3-row icon, whatever you want to call it, right? It's there. And by clicking on this, I can enable edit mode. Now I can go into, there we go, Planner walkthrough. Let me edit this walkthrough. This pane that comes up from the bottom, we refer to this as the edit pane, right? And in this task pane and this edit pane over here, I can choose all different types of options as to what type of item is it. This happens to be a walkthrough, obviously, so I'm not going to change it. But as you can see here, we support all kinds of different type of content that you can create for your users. This is, now I'm speaking more to the administrators, the managers and stuff, that if you want to do this for your users, like a Dell, I'm doing this for a Dell right now, I can do this. Here's a name for this, great. Let me switch to the walkthrough builder, which is right here, and it shows me the steps. Step 1, step 2. First one, as you know, view all your plans, and the second one was a view of all your tasks. And just in case, if you ever wanted to change some stuff around and see, you know, what am I changing? How are things being changed? You can always preview. So I can click on preview, it starts it up. Okay, I'm good. Let me close this, go back here, all good. So what I want to do, as I mentioned, is, and this is a little bit more advanced, but bear with me here. I'm going to go to Advanced Properties for this particular step and say, you know what, show a call to action. Okay, and the call to action label. And the way I'm doing this is I want to show you what's possible. Don't worry about the exact steps, that we can train you on, not a problem. But just understand what's possible. What is Planner? I want to provide this action label to them. And then within events, I'm going to say that whenever somebody clicks on the call to action button, I want to open up a help item. Now, before I select this, you can see that there's a lot more you could do. You can set the background color, set the border. In fact, you know, you saw the borders before around the reading pane and the mail pane, all that stuff. This is how we did it. And you can do it too. So in this case, I'm going to say open help item, add event handler. This is not really an error. It's just saying that you need to provide some required properties. And in my case, I just need to open up another help item, and that is the what is planner. So that help item is already there. That training item, or whatever you want to call it, is already there. I just need to select it, and that's it. I can preview right now, and here, this is what it's going to look like. So this is good. Let me go ahead. So Nestor says, yes, I am done. Let me save this. Save is done. Here's what it's going to look like. What is planner and next? So she can click on next, or whoever the user is. Or if they clicked on what is planner, there you go. The video comes up. This is the same video, in case you're wondering where was this. That, by the way, this is blinking over here, or it's turning green and regular color. It's saying that that there's more content here. Or something has been edited, which I did. So I just want to show you that this was that video, what is planner, and I just hooked it up with this button right here. Okay, so you can have different modalities, basically, of learning that you can show your users. You know, start out with a walkthrough and go into an article or go into a video, which I think as a trainer myself is pretty helpful. Once again, here's what it looks like. Let's see if actually this works for Adele. So it's not smoke and mirrors. Right, so Adele. There we go. That's Adele right here. I'm going to go back into Hub, and I just need to refresh this page, and knock on wood, hopefully everything works great. There you go. So this came up automatically, right? I didn't do anything. And the reason it came up automatically, I'll show you in a second, is there's a property which says, show this to the user automatically the next time they come, right? What is planner? She clicks on this. Here's a video, the same exact experience. And I'm not sure if you've been noticing this, that I've been using different browsers. I've been using Internet Explorer, then I use Chrome. I can also use Firefox, which actually I will do in a few minutes. All the browsers are supported for users, for administrators, for creating, for editing, for whatever you want to do. And this is how it works. So you say, hey, Asif, how difficult is it to make my own walkthrough? Well, let me show you. Yeah? So Nestor says, you know what? I need to make another walkthrough. And this is just going to point out, I'll make it a simple one so you guys don't get bored too much. This is just going to point out the favorite plans and all plans, what it is, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm already in edit. I'll click on add, well actually let me close this one first. Add help item. Okay, starting from scratch, adding a help item, see what happens. First thing, this is a walkthrough. Great. Second thing, I'll just say the types of plans in planner. It's actually not really different types, but anyway, you know what I mean. So I put this in there, then I say let's switch to the walkthrough builder. My first step here is going to be favorite plans, right? Here are your favorite plans. And as you can see, you can change this around. Completely full rich text is allowable here. Now, of course, the main question is, where does this point to, this bubble that comes up? Well, we have the target element picker for you. So we click on this target element, and you select this guy right here, right? Favorite plans. Notice that actually it said, well, there's an element that's here, and I got both of them selected here. Which one do you want? So I can click on this one and deselect it. Currently it says two of them are selected, so I can go ahead and deselect this one, and now it's just one of them is selected. By the way, at any point in time within the editing, within here, if you have questions, there's also this help button. And what this will do is it will provide you help on help. Right? So in this case, this provides you help for how to use the element selector, so it doesn't become daunting or anything. It should be easy for the administrators as well as the users, in our opinion. Okay, so let me move forward here. I'm going to say use it, this element that is selected. I don't need to know exactly the whole element the way it is. Pretty complicated looking, but all I need to do is just click and select. All right, so I am done here. One more, I'll do this quickly. Add a step. Step 2 here is going to be all your plans. So in here are all of your plans. And this one, just for effect, I'll go ahead and underline this one. Cool. One thing I forgot to do is, well, I'll go back. First, let me do this. enter target element. So same thing, I'll say in this case, yeah, let's select this guy here. In this case, there's nothing to deselect, so I'm going to click use it. Should be good. Yeah, what I wanted to also do was just I mean, I don't have to, but I can make the placement of my bubble, my walkthrough bubble, anywhere I want to be. So in this case, I want to say, you know what? Yeah, this one I want it on top. And for the first one, I want the bubble to be on the right. That should be good, I think. And if I'm not sure, of course, preview the walkthrough. Here it is. Favorite plans, here are your favorite plans. Next, all your plans, here are all your plans. Great. So pretty simple. I did all that good stuff. Let me click on save, help. Oh, you know, actually, before I click on save, let me do one more thing. I'm going to go to a help item. There's many other properties for this walkthrough that I'm building right now that I can set. So I'll go down and say if I want a different priority for this, I can set that, the different icon. Let me go ahead and select the walkthrough here. And I don't want to go too far because I know we're short on time. Auto show on load, yes. Let's have it come up automatically. This is where you set if it's coming up automatically. You can even go further and say, you know what, automatically come up only after a particular date. That way you're saying, do it only after a release has happened or something new has come up, and then showcase that. So you can put a date in there if you want. If it's published or if it's draft mode, I do want it to be published. So I'm going to click on save. It's all good, and here it is. It's showing it to me. Let's see if it actually works for Adele. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. And knock on wood, here it is. Okay, so automatically it showed up. Next, and done. That's how simple it is to make a walkthrough. Just like this. Now, we don't have that much time right now, but all the other kind of items that you want to create, you can create just like that. By clicking on Add Help Item, selecting your help item from the list of different things that are available, and just go forward to do it. There are a couple of things that I want to show you before the time runs out, and I'm going to pass to Mark also for one more thing over here. So let me get to it before it gets too late. See, all this stuff is good, but what about taking an assessment of all that stuff that's happening? For this one, I'm going to go into a different browser. I have another one open. In this case, it's Firefox, and in here I have another different user signed in. I want to show you the analytics for everything, the assessment, like I mentioned, of all the stuff that's happening. How do you see what is it that people are using, what they're not using, and tweak it to make things better? So in this particular case, first let me explain. Nestor, who was the guy, in this case was the administrator, he is the one who can come here. Adele cannot. So in this case, Nestor can look at all the different application scopes like Planner and Flow and Delve and SharePoint and everything else, or you can say, you know what, let me show all of it. Show me all of it. You can do all or each one. And then the date, you verify that. And the first thing here shows me by application scope, by the different applications that are there, what's being used, what's not being used as much. Okay? So that's what's here. You can see this in graphical mode here, or you can do it in pie chart. Nice, beautiful pie chart here. Shows me that the SharePoint site directory, wow, got 35 clicks. Good to know. Also by browser, what browsers are my folks using? I see that Chrome 55 has been on rise. That's good to know. Okay. Clicks by viewer media type. So here, walkthroughs have been very, very powerful in our company, it looks like, right? So I can look at that right away. And who's actually using this product? Okay, so Asif is using it the most, but then you also got Jeremy, you got Mike, Ricky, Mark, Jordan. All these folks are using this quite a bit, and how much they're using it. In addition, the exact URL of where people are going and where they're actually looking at help. So this really helps me understand where things are confusing, right? I can make things a little bit simpler in those specific places. And last but definitely not least, is exactly which walkthrough. So the mail walkthrough seems to be really popular, right? Followed by a video called SharePoint in Plain English, and then a lot more walkthroughs after that. So all these things really help me understand what I can do and what I can't do in here, right? One more thing here. Analytics is good. Permissions is how I'm actually setting up permissions for my users. So there's a lot going on here. Don't worry about that too much. The admins is where it makes the most, or here we go, organization administrator. So these are the folks who are the administrators of the organization, the nester basically in our organization, right? Mark is there, I'm there. Once you have an administrator defined, and you can do a lot more. You can have administrators as well as you can have editors, etc., for different permissions. But once you have at least one administrator defined, that person can arrange and change help items, training items for everybody. Okay, I don't want us to run out of time completely, so Mark, I want to pass it back to you. I know there's some specific things that you want to convey of how people can, or actually, I believe you also wanted me to just quickly show people as well of our website. I forgot about that, sorry. Let's go to VisualSP.com. And right after I do this, I'll give it back to you. So at VisualSP.com, which our product is actually in use here too, but I'm not going to show that right now. At VisualSP.com, you can go directly to onboard Office 365 users faster, learn more. That's the first button. And from here, you'll see some testimonials, etc. Once you go into, yeah, see there's a walkthrough here too. When I go into pricing, within that, it will show you that the free version, which a bunch of that stuff I've been showing, you can download it right here, and you go ahead with it. And if you want editing capabilities and other things, there are other versions available as well. I'm sure there's going to be some questions as well, and Mark, you wanted to talk about some other things, so I'll pass it back to you. Okay, see your screen now.
Sorry about that. I forgot to unmute myself. So yeah, really just one more slide, and then we'll get into the Q&A. There are some questions that have been posted in the console, so we'll get to those in just a second. So also, if you want to start taking a look at those so we can start answering those live, that would be great. Yep. But for all of you on the call, also just kind of led into it. So he showed you where you can go and actually get the product. So we'd encourage all of you to either go down one of two paths. So a lot of what you saw early on today, and particularly when it relates to the content, is our free version of the product. So that includes the Microsoft help and a limited set of VisualSP help content. So this is help content that we've curated and created for Office 365, all delivered in context. The free product is free and perpetual, so you can have at it. A lot of the stuff that you saw, kind of the back half of the demo when you were looking at the walkthroughs, creating custom walkthroughs, creating custom help items, analytics, et cetera, plus some extended VisualSP help content that's available to you in a fully functional 30-day trial. So that is the enterprise version of our product. So it's got everything that our product does, and you can download that directly from our website as well. And Asif also showed you where you can get access to our pricing. And if you have additional questions on any of that, you can reach us at sales@visualsp.com. There's also some buttons on the website that can pass you through to us in that way as well. But definitely encourage you to go get involved with the product. This is our grand launch, but we have had the product in beta for a number of months now. We've gotten really great feedback from our beta customers and some of our very early customers on how it's helping their users get up to speed on Office 365 and get more work done. So we encourage you to be a part of that group. With that, Asif, I think that there were a number of questions in the console. So if we can head over and start looking at those.
Sure. It's great to see some familiar names as well, by the way, asking the questions. So folks, thank you very much for sticking around and asking the questions. For example, so here's one question. Bo is asking, do you support Microsoft Power Apps, Power BI? Absolutely. We have content configured for Power Apps, Power BI, Flow, all kinds of stuff. Good question. Shelly is asking a question, do you have to edit or add content on a user-by-user basis? No, so a very good question, Shelly. When you edit or add a content for your organization, it appears for everybody. So you're not doing it for a specific person, it just appears for everybody. Then another question, this is by Ari. Are all these help topics, walkthroughs, videos available out of the box, or do we have to configure everything ourselves? Very good question. It's completely turnkey. Everything that you saw is just is just there. So you install, and if you register, you get access to everything. It's just all configured by our experts in our organization because, like I said, we've been doing this for a very long time, Office 365 and SharePoint. It's all there, but you can, of course, customize and create your own also. And and we're going and configuring and changing things around, by the way, as Microsoft is releasing or changing things as well. So it's all there. By the way, sorry, Mark, if you want to jump into anything, go for it, please. I'm just going down the list here. Uh, okay, so here's a really good question also by Ari. Can we pick and choose which users will have access to VisualSP? Yes. Well, a question came up a few times actually in our conversations internally and with prospects as well as to can we just get it for 500 users, 1,000 users, etc. What I was showing in my screen before, if you go back once again to the pricing page or the pricing section of our page, you'll see that you can do it by the number of licenses, excuse me, that you want. So you can say, I want 500 people only, license only, or I want 1,000. And then within that, you can actually, if people that you don't intend who are using the application, you can block them as well. They say, no, 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 it's only for my group or for my team. So you can definitely do that as well. Okay. Okay, analytics. Question from Dick. Are the analytics part of Office 365 or from VisualSP? So the analytics that I was showing you is very, very specific to VisualSP. Microsoft also has great analytics that's in the Office 365 for all of Office 365. You'll find that in the administration. Definitely, if you want more information about it, Dick or anybody else, just go ahead and email me. I can show that to you. Another question, is there an on-prem version, is what Ari is asking. There is an on-prem version. It's same concept as the SharePoint on-prem help and training. We've been actually providing that version to people for last, wow, like for some years now. Lots of different customers, many corporations around the world who have that running. So there's another version of it. If you can email us, let us know, or any questions, we can definitely demo the different versions of the product for you. Absolutely. Will you have video that show the integration with Office 365, SharePoint, and Power BI? That's Lloyd asking this question. You know, I should have shown this as well. On YouTube currently, we intend to put it on our site pretty soon too, but we've been spitting out videos so quickly, it's been difficult to keep up with everything. We have some demonstration videos for our product on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search for VisualSP, you're going to see how it interacts with SharePoint and other Office 365 applications. So all that stuff is there in addition to this webinar, which you'll get a recording of pretty soon too. Can we create help information bubbles specifically? Anne is asking, inside a SharePoint add edit form. Oh, that's a really good question, Anne. So in this case, if the SharePoint add edit form is a page by itself, absolutely. Yes, I think that's what you're asking, that when you go to add form or edit form, can I put some walkthroughs there? Yes, you can actually, because all these elements are selectable. You can select an element saying, okay, in this particular box, you provide this type of information, etc. So you can definitely do that. Lloyd is, I keep making a comment here, my company has just migrated to SharePoint 2013 and Office 365. So yeah, in this particular case also, if you have a hybrid situation, we can definitely help you combine the products and get you something that's going to work for you. So definitely let us know. A lot of folks these days are going SharePoint 2013, Office 365, or SharePoint 2016, Office 365, and we have solutions for all that. So absolutely, just let us know and we can get you set up. By the way, one thing I should have told you guys earlier, sorry about that, that there's a survey that's going to come up right after this presentation, which we're a little bit over, so thanks for sticking around. In that survey, there's a question that says, if you provide us your information, some business information, just a little bit, we can take that information and set you up today for at least with a free trial if you're looking for the editing capabilities. So let us know and we can get you started today if you'd like, so you can start messing around and checking things out if you like. Mark, if there's anything, yeah, please.
One of the survey questions is if you have more questions. I know that we've run a little bit over So I appreciate everybody sticking around. We actually still have most of the attendees still online, so we appreciate that. And it looks like the questions have come to a halt at this point. So if there's anything that we didn't get to as far as questions go, there is a very brief survey that's going to pop up as soon as you close out the webinar console. So we would appreciate your feedback and rating the webinar that you saw today. And as Asif mentioned, if you'd like to get involved with the product immediately, you can pass us some of your information confidentially through the GoToWebinar console. When you close out, the survey will pop up, and there's a way to enter your information confidentially there. And we can help get you set up immediately. And then if there's any other questions, you can enter it into the survey as well, and we will get back to you as promptly as we can. And then there's also in the invite, there's a couple of different methods you have of getting a hold of us, as well as through the website as well. So, Asif, if is there anything else from you before we part ways?
Well, just a final point that, the reason we're doing all this stuff, I just want to reiterate, is for you guys. So if there's anything that you feel, there's a hurdle or challenge or something else, just like Mark mentioned, feel free to let us know. Feedback is the best way we have learned so far of what you need, what you want. And if you need to tweak things, we can definitely do that in the future releases as well. So let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're not doing right. We can do better. We're here for you. We're here for your success.
All right. Well, thank you for all of you that stuck around as long as you did. I apologize for running a little bit over, but hopefully the information was valuable to you. So thanks again for your attendance. And with that, we will end the webinar. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.